Hey everybody, I'm Casey.
And I'm Alex Buffington. Today we're going to work on a Massey 9255 Dynaflex draper header. We're going to do something a little bit different today. This header already has a Schumacher system on it. Usually what we do, we try to show you guys how to put a Schumacher system on a machine that already has, say, a forge guard system on it, on an OEM system. We're going to show you the difference between our Schumacher system when it's brand new and when it's worn out. So we recommend just buying a complete kit when your system gets to a certain point when it's worn out, and it's a lot cheaper just to buy a whole complete kit rather than piecing everything together. Okay, one thing we want to do is we're going to check our guards, our guard wear here where the sickle runs. Now, every conversion kit comes with a multi-tool. Not only is it a bottle opener, but it is a tool to check your guard wear here. And when the guards are bolted down to the machine, you stick this little tool, the multi-tool, in the gap where the sickle runs. And you can see that it's all the way in here. If it goes past this arrow, where that little ledge there, it's time to replace the guards. If you get too much wear on the guards, the sickle will not cut correctly, no matter if you put a new knife in, new sickles in, or anything. And here's a new guard, and you can tell the gap is a lot narrower than the worn out guards.
So we're going to talk about rollers a little bit. This head has the old style rollers on it, which we called our bridge roller. As you can see, it goes in between two guards and on the way it mounts. So our new style roller is going to mount off to the side, right on top of the guard. These rollers are seized up. This one obviously won't move, so it's not doing us any good right now. So we're going to put this kit on with all the new rollers. If you're going to just replace a roller on a worn out kit or on a worn out roller, what you're going to have to do is take this longer bolt from this position and move it over to here the way this is going to mount, so you have more depth on the nut.
Okay, so the first thing we got to do, we got to take the sickles out, But on the left hand side, you got to take the overlap strap off first. This is a double drive machine, so we got to take this strap off, take these 3 bolts, the first 3 bolts off, get that strap off, and then we'll start sliding the sickle out. But we'll run down here and we'll show you what got to take off on the gearbox. There's 2 bolts right here on the connector bearing. We got to take those off. Those are 18mm bolts. Take them off, and then we'll start sliding the sickle out. You can go ahead and leave the connector bearing in the knife head, and we'll take that out afterwards. So the first thing we want to do is we want to show you, we're going to check our register before we take it apart, and we can see that the sickle section is out this side and it's all the way in on the inside stroke. Now Casey's going to turn the gearbox over. We're going to show you what it's doing, and it's coming all the way back out to this side, so we know that the register is off. On this Dynaflex machine, we have adjustments. You can see that this knife head is threaded, so we can play with this. Once we get the new sickles in, we will adjust that knife head so the register is correct, and we will show you that once we get everything bolted up and ready to go. As you can see, this is a Schumacher system, so it comes right out. So again, this is a double drive machine, so we got to take the 2 bolts out of this connector bearing on the bottom of the Schumacher drive, and you just start pulling it out. Okay, so now we're going to start taking all the guards off. We'll start with on the left hand side. We'll start over here and we'll just take everything off. Now on the Dynaflex machine, we don't have skid shoes, we don't have anything to worry about, so you can go ahead and take everything off if you want to, or you can just replace a few guards at a time. But we're just going to go ahead and wipe everything off and start fresh with the Schumacher system. Okay, I want to point out something on the overlap area on what OEM AGCO does compared to the Schumacher conversion kit system. We are a little bit different here, just in the overlap area. AGCO will run these thick spacers here in the middle, and then the overlap roller has a little bit shorter bushings here. When we put the Schumacher system on, the newer one from Schumacher, we will get rid of these thick spacers there in the middle, and I will show you that once we get to that point.
Okay, so here we got our connector strap section sitting out. We have 3 sections to install and a connector strap. So you can see we do the one up, one down across here, so we're going to maintain that. So this one's going to get flipped over that way, that one will stay like that, and then this one will go back upside down, and that'll maintain our every other pattern. The instructions will come with it for that area. Please note there's an M6 bolt, and the tightening spec is 9 to 10 foot-pounds.
So here I took the knife head off the old sickle, and we're going to have to loosen this jam nut up, and we're going to reuse this block here for the knife head. And what you're going to do is you inspect this nylon ring. If you have a new one laying around, it's best just to replace it. This is a wear item here. And also, while you got them out, is to check your connector bearings. Make sure they spin nice and free. If they don't spin free, they need to be replaced. So we're going to go over, it's important to watch your instructions, because if you get one roller off, and then you start going along and not paying attention, then you got to take them all off and restart all over again. So it's important to pay attention to the instructions so you get the rollers in the correct spot, so you're not doing twice the amount of work. One thing, you know, we do get questions on sometimes is which roller is what. This particular roller I have in my hand is the top roller. This one will go right here. You can see that the roller is completely different, so it will hold down the sickle, and this one here is the bottom, kind of holds up on the sickle assembly. Those are the two differences between our rollers, and again, the longer bolts will go where the rollers are. Okay, one thing I want to point out is there's an arrow on our rollers. See, you can see it there on the edge. What you want to do is you want to have that arrow pointing towards you, and when you go to tighten these bolts up, you tighten them up and pull that roller forward at the same time.
Okay, so since this is a double drive head, we have open top guards on the right side of the head as well. So we're going to go ahead and start putting, we'll have 2 open top guards on this side as well.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, once you get the guards started on the machine, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start snugging them up a little bit, either with your impact or a ratchet wrench or whatever you want. We just want to snug them up because this is just finger tight right here, and you can see they just flop around too much. So we just want to snug them up so they can move a little bit, and that way when you're starting to run the sickle in, it doesn't jam up. So if you tighten them too much when you're starting to get your sickle in, it can cause them to bind up a little bit because the guards are new, there's paint on everything. So just get them a little bit snug, and should make the sickle go in a lot easier. I do want to point out one thing I forgot to mention is make sure you're pulling forward on the guards and the rollers as you're tightening the bolts up. So you want to make sure the guards are all the way forward and the rollers all the way forward, and then tighten your bolts up just snugly. So on the Dynaflex header, the backbone right here in the middle is all one piece, and this is where the overlap guards will go because this is the dual drive header. So you got 3 special guards here in the middle. They're overlap guards, and right here in the overlap, remember earlier I talked about how AGCO does their overlap a little bit differently than Schumacher does it. So here we run 2 wear plates, 3-hole wear plates right here in the center. So your typical spacer is a little less wider than the wear plate. That's how you can tell the difference between a spacer plate and a wear plate. And you will see that the holes are offset with an arrow. That arrow will be pointed towards you. So there's 2 of those in the center. So the guard in the middle will straddle those, and there are 2 longer bolts, extra long bolts in the kit. And those 2 will go in the middle where the spacers will go on top. And there's 1 larger roller, a 16004 roller, and it has the arrow on it. Will go on top of the spacers. This is for the overlap only. So this is the only roller that is this way, and it goes right in the middle of the center guard. So the next thing we're going to do after we got all the guards on is we're going to start with the left-hand sickle. So we're going to get this in. Remember, you got to take the overlap strap off to get the sickle in, the left-hand side in. So we're going to start putting it in. So the next step is we're going to slide in the right-hand side, and then we'll start working on the center drive area, mounting the overlap strap, and we'll show you how we do all that. Okay, so in the overlap area, we have this overlap strap, and that will sit on the last 3 holes of the left-hand sickle. And then that's where we run our special overlap sickle sections. And then on the right-hand side, we have 3 countersunk sections on the last. And it just bolts right to the right to the knife back. There's no special strap there. You can see the center roller is right in the center of the machine. So sometimes to get this overlap strap on the sickle, is you can take the overlap guards off, put the strap on, and then put the guards back on. It's all depending on how you want to do it. Unless you have these off, you could just slide it on the side. It's totally up to you on how you prefer. But if you have all the guards on, this could be a little difficult to get on unless you have all these bolts off the back side, and then you can slide it into the guards. So the next thing I want to point out is the register of a Schumacher guards and the sickle, the knife assembly. So we want the middle of the section to run from tip to tip, and on this particular machine we can adjust that. So right now all I did was I adjust the timing basically of the knife, the register of the knife, and I got it set to where I want. On the AGCO machines we have a jam nut here that locks that in place, so we can tighten that up so then it can't move or bang on the threads. Then we'll slide the knife in and we're all done. Okay, so the register goes to the same thing on the right hand side. Again, you gotta get your tip of your guard to the center of your sickle section, going back and forth. And again, you have the same jam nut on this side. You can adjust this, so once you get it adjusted correctly, you tighten that jam nut. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start the combine. We're going to get everything running. We're going to check for bluing on the sickle sections, make sure nothing's rubbing or bent or in any way. We'll run it for a little bit, and then we're going to do a 2x4 cutting demonstration like we always do at the end. So that's a wrap. Took us about 3 hours. Got everything going. Just make sure you keep an eye on them rollers, make sure they're touching and get everything pulled forward. Make sure you check your register on each side as well, and make sure nothing is rubbing, bluing. Once you get it running and get going, give it some time to run a little bit. Got any questions, follow the link below. I hope you all have a perfect harvest.